TJ the Wheel Deal coming at you live with a special edition of Wheelers live Q&A, and it is just a solo show today because I got a little bit of time. The wife's getting ready. We got to go run some errands, and she was like, "Go do your thing on YouTube. You haven't been on there in a while." So the way that I'm going to do today is we're going to do a quick portfolio update and just kind of give you guys the game plan for the rest of the year as far as that goes, the game plan for YouTube the rest of the year and moving forward. And then it's going to be me needing y'all's help because I'm working on a seminar that I want to put on in the next week or two for everyone on the channel, but it's only going to be live on the channel, or it's only going to be available for everyone for about a week. And then after that, it's going to go private for the members only. So it'll create urgency for people to watch it, that aren't members, because after that, the only people that are going to be able to access that material are the members. So keep that in mind. So anyway, let's get into it, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We already got 68 people that have hit the link on or seen the link on X. We've got 22 people live on YouTube. So let's get going, guys. Before we do that, let me appreciate some of you guys here. We got Rural Adventures. What's going on? I was working on the outline. Sorry about that. What's going on, Samuel? Mike K. What's going on, Alex? What's going on, Drew Nation? What's going on, Nigas? Lisa Sage, Dylan? What's going on, Al begging me. I need to get with one of you guys. Y'all have been messaging me a lot, and I apologize. I've just been super, super busy working on some things, and I will be returning messages and stuff, and I want to collaborate with all of you guys. I'm not leaving YouTube or anything like that. I'm just scaling back because I'm really trying to put together the book, and I'm really trying to put together this Wheeler seminar series because I want to do that in person. Like the business plan, the strategy, if you will, has always been for me to take the show on the road. I like communicating in person. I have a lot of experience public speaking, and I like to teach, but I like to do it live and in color. I want to get to know people in person because I'm not high tech, I'm high touch. So that's the thing, I want to do things that I enjoy doing because I'm going to spend my time doing them. And we're in a situation financially where I really don't have to do shit if I don't feel like doing it. That's kind of the beautiful thing about being in this predicament. So let's figure out here how we can present, because it's been a little while. And let's see what's going on with the portfolio. I will show you guys what we have planned with the portfolio, where it's going, where it's not going, the whole thing, how I feel about some positions, whether it's just trades, investments, etc. And then we're going to pivot to the outline. I'm working on an outline. These are just bullet points. Alex is coming over tomorrow, and we're going to try to put together this PowerPoint presentation. He'll probably have to either come over, or we'll have to figure it out via a webinar or something on a StreamYard, him and I, to make sure that we give you guys the right 50 to 100 slides, however many it's going to take. I don't know how many it's going to take. I'm hoping it doesn't take that much. I hope this thing doesn't turn into a freaking marathon. I want to try to be as concise as possible, because the idea of the seminar is that if you've been doing this for 5 minutes, you've been doing it for 5 years, or something for you. And it's kind of like the A to Z of selling options the way that I do it, the way that I see it from my perspective. It's not the only way to do it. It's the way that I do it. That is what I'm trying to share with you guys, because we all have our own little wrinkles. So you have to figure out how it's going to work for you, your lifestyle, your goals, etc. So anyway, let's get into it here. We're going to do the what are we, about the 5-minute mark or so, 4:30. Let me go over here. I'm going to do the little tags or whatever it's called. So we'll just call it 4:45, and we'll do portfolio update, and we'll go from there. So what's going on with the portfolio? So essentially, these are the key holdings. We got the one Bitcoin. There's that. And then we've got SoFi, we've got Riot. This is sitting on equity. So we've got SoFi at 150,000. We've got Riot at 107,300. We got Palantir at 24,000. We got Amazon at 4,500. PayPal at 10,000, Tesla at 2,500, Intel at 20,000, BITX at 10,000, Hood at 10,000, TSLL at 15,000 shares, CrowdStrike at 300, Opendoor at 50,000 shares, NVIDIA at 500, Fubo at 25,000 shares, Archer at 10,000 shares, and Joby at 5,000 shares. You guys will notice that there's no more NEO and there's no more American Airlines. We're going to talk about those as well as far as share ownership. So that is what's going on. So I'm going to start one at a time. What's going on with SoFi? What are we doing? What are we not doing? That whole thing. Because we know we got earnings, big earnings next week. We've got SoFi, we've got PayPal, and I think even Riot is next week, just to name a few in this particular portfolio. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but whatever. We got earnings. So what is going on with SoFi? What are we doing? What are we not doing? So we're sitting real pretty at 150,000 shares, up 51%, 561,000. So all that bullshit about opportunity cost and oh my God, these other stocks are ready. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's all bullshit now. It's not applicable because our horse has left the stable and it finally started running. And we've got a pretty healthy position. So let's look at the strategies though. We've got 5 open strategies. We've got 500 covered calls at 15 for January of 2026. Kind of okay letting those shares go down the road at 15. We'll probably leave a lot of money on the table. Don't give a shit about that. I want to be able to look to raise cash down the road. And then we got a bunch of leads that are protecting us to the upside. So if SoFi wants to go to $100 a share via a short squeeze or something like that, be my guest. I would love that because this portfolio would be worth about $25-30 million real quick. So SoFi $7 calls. We got an agreement to buy more shares of SoFi, 20,000 of them at $7 on or before January 2026. We got an agreement to buy an additional 20,000 shares of SoFi at $5 on or before January 2026. And it's not a coincidence that that's about 40,000 shares, and we're willing to let go of 50,000 shares. So we would put us at a net at 140,000 shares. And then we got an agreement to buy an additional 100,000 shares at $10, January 2026. And we've got lottery leaps over here. We got an agreement to buy an additional 10,000 shares at 15 in January, on or before January 2026. So things are looking real good, up $289,000 on those options. There's $515,000 in value on those options right now. It's absolutely sick. I mean, so collectively, we're on track to be up about $1 million on SoFi. That's just the reality of it, guys. And this is the big position right here, is this lottery leap that purchased back in the day on 3/8, and we're up 182,000 on those. I have a goal to address that situation when we're up at least 250,000, really 500,000. And then the ideal situation is for SoFi to like legit go on a run. And I want to be able to lock in $1 million win for all of you guys to see, because there's other channels that they're always talking about their $1 million wins. And we don't have any of those on this channel. But I think that we're going to position ourselves accordingly to be able to do that on SoFi. So we'll see. We'll see. It just kind of like a feather on the cap, but it's not that big a deal at the end of the day, because the idea is just to make a bunch of money. Slow and steady wins the race. So that is what's going on with SoFi. Moving it along, we got Riot Platforms. Went over to Riot last week. Went to their offices in Irvine. Beautiful office. Absolutely beautiful office. I came back feeling really bullish. They gave us this little 100 exahash bracelet, with Riot on there. Got the cap. This was all in a goodie bag. I didn't know all this cool shit was in there. If not, I would have grabbed another goodie bag. There was like 10 of them left because the attendance was kind of light. If I hadn't known all this shit was in there, I'd have tried to snag another bag. And then they gave us this really cool coin. Really cool coin right here that says Bitcoin on it. And then on the other side, it says Riot. And then it says other cool stuff on here. It says Bitcoin Riot on one side. And on the other side, it says Bitcoin Digital Decentralized peer-to-peer. Really, really cool. So they gave me an idea when I got this coin. This is now like when I play poker, this is my card protector now. And also, whenever you go golf, this could be your ball marker, right? So they gave me an idea that I'm going to make some coins like this with TJ the Wheel deal on there. Really, really cool. They're pretty heavy, pretty cool, legit. And I am going to be gifting those coins to the Rent Squad. So you guys are going to have that coming. It's going to be really, really cool. That way we all have something that nobody else on the channel has, because I'm all about the Rent Squad. Make no mistake about it. So anyway, we'll figure that out. I'll probably just ask y'all to pay for shipping and that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure I can get these coins done for probably 20, 25 bucks each. I'm not sure. So there's that. What's going on with Riot? We're sitting on 107,300 shares at 756. They've lowered some averages here because Robinhood's doing their Mickey Mouse math over there, whatever the hell they're doing these days. I can't even keep up anymore. So we're sitting in a pretty decent spot. We kind of had a rough day yesterday, and we got 6 open strategies. Cash collateral 1.384. So what is that? That's cash secured puts. That's an agreement to buy $1.384 million worth of Riot at certain strike prices on certain expiration dates. So this Friday, this coming Friday, there's an agreement to buy 420 or 42,700 shares, right? You multiply that times 100. That's how that works. So we got an agreement to buy 42,700 shares at $9. I feel pretty good about it. Why did I pick that weird number? Because I put a post on X saying however many people like, I'll sell a cash secured put at $9 on Riot. And a shitload of people like, so there was that. But there was also a strategy behind it, and it's I want to get to 150,000 shares of Riot. Do I want to own more shares at $9? The answer is not really. But I'm willing to do this 2 or 3 or 4 times. And then if for whatever reasons Riot keeps going up, then I'll increase the strike price from 9 to 950 and keep doing that 2 or 3 or 4 times until eventually I get caught with my hand in the cookie jar. And then now I'm forced to roll down. And there is another substantial pullback on Riot, and it goes into the 8s, maybe 850. That is the ideal target for me to try to take ownership of this amount of shares, 42,700, bringing the total up to 150,000 shares so that the position can officially be capped. So that is what's going on with Riot. So I'm not really bluffing there whenever I'm selling all those shares. It is not just a cash grab. I am legit trying to get this position up to 150,000 shares. Why? Because I liked what I heard at Riot. I had a bunch of questions for Jason and the other execs, and I like the answers that they gave me. So I came away feeling really, really bullish. I'll do a Wheelers episode that's all things Riot, all the things that I know, all the things that I still don't know, and then just kind of things that I'm speculating on where I think the direction of the company is going. Bottom line, guys, in short, I think it's going up and to the right, and in a big way. So we got covered calls at $10. That's why I'm being really, really aggressive over here at the $9 level, trying to get all of this premium, because at some point I'm probably going to have to be rolling these covered calls indefinitely, because I think Bitcoin's about to go on an epic bull run, and I think Riot is going to follow. So we have all of the current shares for sale at $10 for December. Those are already under pressure. And then in the distance, we've got an agreement to buy 20,000 more shares at $9, an agreement to buy 20,000 more shares at $10, an agreement to buy 60,000 more shares at $7, and then way down the road in January, an agreement to buy 40,000 more shares at $5. So I think that you can say safely that I'm pretty overweight Riot. Or am I? I actually think I'm underweight. I'd like to own 250,000 shares, truth be told. If Riot could tank to like $7 a share, I don't think that's going to happen. So I lost that opportunity. So it is what it is. So now I'm just going to try to make as much money as I can via cash secured puts and covered calls. I'm going to try to get to this portfolio update, guys, and then I will answer some of y'all's questions before we go into the outline. So I don't want y'all to feel like I'm neglecting you or whatever on purpose. It's just I'm trying to get through this so we don't drag it out, because my wife's going to peel me out of here at like 10:30, 10:45. So we got to go buy me a black suit because we got a black tie event to go to. And I was like, I'll just rent a tux. She's like, nah, why don't we go buy a black suit? That way we got it for because we're going to go to the prom or whatever. I'm just like, whatever. So anyway, Palantir, what's going on with Palantir? Congratulations to all you Palantards. Everybody's making money. So this part's real cool. 24,000 shares up 158%, 659. Got the 3 open strategies. Cover calls at 12, cover calls at 45, cover calls at 35 for January 2026. The $12 cover calls January 2025. I'm going to talk to Bill White. He says he thinks that he could fix this trade for me. We'll see. It's just about the math. I'm totally okay letting those shares go at this point. I just don't give a shit. So that's what's going on with Palantir. I'm not buying any more shares right now. I'm not selling any cash secured puts because the premiums suck. So I'm just kind of rocking with what I have. I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of a pullback to the mid 30s, and then I will continue to buy some more shares at that point. And I'm not worried at all about these covered calls. I think Palantir is going to go sideways for like the next 3 to 6 months. They got to start going into this valuation, and then they'll probably have another leg up, probably to like $60 or something crazy. I mean, Palantir is just an absolute monster. Absolute monster. Super, super excited to be a shareholder in that company. Amazon is a position that I have been building very, very aggressively in this portfolio. Why? Because it's Amazon. So it's 4,500 shares. We don't have the best entry point. We're up a little bit. I call it the glorified Amazon savings account, right? So it's like a GASA, the glorified Amazon savings account. And this thing, I don't think it's going to go down much. I don't think it's going to go up that much either. And that's kind of what we're looking for with all the volatility of the election and everything else, is go find a company that doesn't give a shit who the president is. That is how you can handle the election. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, doesn't matter if you identify as a dog, it doesn't matter. You're probably going to be buying shit on Amazon, and Amazon's going to keep making a lot of money with Amazon Web Services. It's just the reality. This is a company that is what I call apolitical. They do not give a shit who the president is. They're going to print. It's probably going to be the first company with $1 trillion in gross revenue ever. And there will probably ever only be a handful of companies that could achieve that feat. And this guy is poised to be number one. So that news cycle is going to be pretty remarkable, trying to get to at least 5,000 shares. So we still have 500 shares that we're trying to buy here. And I've got them all for sale at 195. And I'm willing to babysit these things for the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. And eventually, when there's about a 300 or a 350 price tag, I'll probably be looking at and selling these damn shares and calling it good and building up a real big cash position. So this is the kind of investment that doesn't cause a lot of stress. And that is what I was looking for with the pretty good percentage of the portfolio. So that's why I'm trying to move some money over here. So I feel like the American Airlines money is moving over here. Eventually the CrowdStrike money, all of this other money is moving over here. Less positions to manage. I don't have to do much with this one. I'm only pushing 4, 5, 6 buttons a year and calling it good and not really stressed out. That's what I'm looking for. Keeping it going, guys. Keeping it going. We got PayPal. PayPal's got earnings this week, I believe. And we're in a pretty good spot. We got 10,000 shares at 58, almost $250,000. So all that part's good. But we do have the shares for sale. We've got the shares for sale at 75 for January. So those are obviously under pressure. There's about $4 or $5 of extrinsic value there. That's why I'm not doing anything with them. And then it's because we have the buys. We have 100 buys at 50, the leaps that are protecting us, so we can be very aggressive with the covered calls. And then I've got 25 buys at 75 for June. Fully expect to exercise on all of these. That way we're good to go. And in fact, I'm looking at buying 50 more of these right here. I should have already done it. I don't know why I didn't. So that is something that I'm looking to do, is to scoop up another 25 leaps at $75 for June of 2026. I think that these are going to print. In fact, they've already printed in a pretty big way. You can see right there up 93%, $176,000. I'm no Jesse Dow from the standpoint that I essentially buy leaps for a living, But I always say, kind of like made a little joke on the WhatsApp group or the private WhatsApp group for the members is I don't always buy leaps, but when I do, I usually make a shitload of money. Like my timing on buying leaps has historically been pretty good. It's just not anything that I ever wanted to advertise on the channel. I don't want to advocate for it on the channel because I'm a much bigger proponent of being the casino versus the gambler. So there's that. So that's what's going on with PayPal. I think PayPal is going up and to the right. I think that it probably has a 90 handle by the end of the year. That's my best guess. Could it see 100? Maybe. I doubt it. I doubt it. We'll see. I like to be around. What else do we got going on? Tesla. Who is it? Jeremy, the one that says Tesla, my Esla? My goodness, man. Like this thing just went crazy. And that was fun. It's fun. Starting to print a little bit, a lot like SoFi. A lot of the opportunity cost is going out the window because the shares are now performing. And we've got the covered calls at 280 for January of 2026 that are extremely under pressure now. But we got 15 leaps that are protecting the whole thing. So we're not really that stressed out. What are we looking to do here? Probably sometime September, October, November of next year. I'll look to exercise these right there, bump everything up to 4,000 shares, and I'll roll these covered calls another year, put a $325 handle on them, call life good. If there's ever any substantial pullbacks, I'll look to sell more cash secured puts on Tesla. That's all that we're looking to do. So we're not looking to add any more shares because I could just exercise these right there, these leaps, and put us at 4,000 shares. And I think we're good. Because we've also been playing TSLO. TSO has been really good. So the other one that we have is Intel. We're just looking for a break even on Intel. I want to turn these shares into leaps. That way it frees up a lot of collateral, and I want to play Intel that way. So I just need a little bit of a bump on Intel. Been working these covered calls, bringing some money through the door. You guys can see on the last batch of covered calls, brought in a cool 10,800. So things are looking okay with Intel. We just need Intel to pump a little bit. I'd love to be able to sell these. Even at 26, I'd be okay with it. I would just buy the leaps, call it good, and free up all of that collateral maybe to bump the Amazon position even to like 6,000 or 7,000 shares. I'm not sure. We'll see. I would much rather hold Amazon than Intel as far as shares go. What else do we got? BITX. This is a trade that is just kind of worked out picture perfect. We've got 10,000 shares at 26.71. We've got an agreement to sell those shares at 32, and we get an agreement to buy 5,000 more shares at 24. So it's kind of a picture perfect Goldilocks scenario right there. If it stays at these levels, we will still own these shares, and we won't have the obligation to buy any more shares as long as we stay above 24. An even more ideal scenario is for it to just be trading at like 33 or 34 bucks, and we're out of it altogether, and we free up another 300,000 to 120,000 in collateral, and we're able to go fight another day and get into something that is not so damn volatile. Because as the portfolio gets bigger, you got to consider capital preservation as well. Hood. Another position been building out very aggressively. We're up to 10,000 shares. Pretty decent average, not great, but decent. And then we've got an agreement to buy $245,000 worth more via cash secured puts at 25 and 24 strike prices respectively. And we've got an agreement to sell these shares, half of them at 32 and half of them at 26. We're babysitting the ones at 26. The ones at 32 aren't causing any stress. Amit is helping me with this particular position. So Amit's kind of running the point on that particular position. So we'll see how he wants to play it. But so far, he's played it pretty damn picture perfect. TSOL. This is the reason that I didn't continue to go super heavy on Tesla, because I was like, well, I'll just play TSOL and make even more money over here. Up 63,000 on the shares. There's collateral at 286. All the shares are for sale at 15 in December. We've got an agreement to buy 50,000 more shares at 573. And then we've got the long calls, the leaps that we bought at 573 January. I fully expect to exercise those. So that would take the entire position to 25,000 shares. And we're just rocking with them, guys. We're rocking with them. It's been an absolutely magnificent trade for us. What else do we got going on here? CrowdStrike. Now we're starting the swing trade. So everything else that we've talked about so far, with the exception of TSO and BITX and Intel, Everything else is an investment. Those are trades. Those are trades, right? Everything here is a swing trade. No intention of being in these long term, but we'll see. It could turn into that. Just don't know enough about the company yet, and I'm not willing to do the homework. So we got the 300 shares at 246, and they're for sale at 275. But I also have an agreement to buy 500 more shares at 275. So we'll see what happens with CrowdStrike. I know that a lawsuit came down yesterday. Delta is suing these guys, so I'm kind of hoping they go under pressure, and then maybe it dips to this 250, 260 range. I could scoop up another 200, maybe even get this position up to 1,000, and it could graduate into an investment. The only reason it's not an investment now is because I didn't buy enough shares. That's it. So it's just a trade. It's not really a needle mover for the account, but I'm hoping that it could be. It isn't right now. What else do we got going on? We got Opendoor. This is just a swing trade that's going to take probably about another 6 months or so to materialize. I think Opendoor is going to go up and to the right once all these rate cuts really take effect. Got 50,000 shares at 184. We've got an agreement to buy $325,000 worth of Intel at strike prices 350, 3, 2, and 150. And we've got all the current shares for sale at $3. All for January of 2025. So we'll see how it plays out. We will see how it plays out. So this could potentially turn into a monster position with probably about a 225 average. And I'm very, very comfortable there. I would just put all the shares for sale at like 250, very aggressive, bring in another grip of premium, and then we'll see what happens. So I expect to be able to make probably close to 6 figures on Opendoor when it's all said and done, or probably lose 6 figures. There's kind of nothing really in between, unfortunately, when you're playing with stocks like that. NVIDIA, this is another swing trade that I'm hoping kind of graduates into an investment, but we'll see. We've got the 500 shares at 125. We had them for sale at 130. We kicked the can down the road on the MIDS channel yesterday. We rolled them from 130 to 134. We picked up like $1,100 for doing that, I think. Yeah, $1,120. So we added a little bit of time to the contract, and now they're for sale in December for 134. Feel pretty good about them. But if NVIDIA gets called away, guys, I'm not really stressed out about it. It's kind of whatever. I was never really in the stock anyway. It's just one of those things that I missed out on. I wasn't a part of. You know what? That's okay. Fubo, Archer, Joby, these are all just swing trades. I'm going to talk about them real briefly because I don't have a lot of time. So Fubo bought the shares at 143. I agreed to sell them at 150, and I agreed to buy more shares at 150. So these at 150 for 11.22. I hope to get called away. That way the trade worked out. I made the covered call premium, plus I made the 7 cents in capital appreciation. And then I've got an agreement to buy 20,000 more shares at 150 down the road. So when it's all said and done, I'll make probably 10 grand on Fubo. I think I will. We'll see. We'll see. And then the other positions that I'm building slowly is Archer and Joby. I'm very interested in this space. It's the EV tolls, the taxis, the air taxis, whatever you want to call them. Started small positions here for the portfolio, relatively speaking. It's all relative, right? But for this portfolio that are very small positions, not even half a percentage point. So agreed, we bought the shares at 307. We immediately put the shares for sale at 350 for January, and have an agreement to buy an additional 10,000 shares at $3 for January. So we're figuring out how to make money selling puts and calls and positioning ourselves for a little bit of capital appreciation. And I'm not going to be defending those trades too quickly, or I'm not going to be real like, oh my God, I don't want to lose these shares. If this thing goes up to $4 and they want to take my shares at 350 and I made money, I'll move on to the next one because it's all pre-revenue with these guys. Same thing with Joby. Same thing with Joby. Is bought the shares at like 540 something, I think. Yeah, 554. So down a little bit on the shares. I have an agreement to sell the shares at 550. So I've got an agreement to sell them for 4 cents less than I bought them, because that was just what worked out on the options chain, and it still works out. And then I'm going to buy an additional 5,000 shares at $5. So I think that this one's going to be a profitable endeavor, and it's going to work out. That's just what I think. I kind of wouldn't mind it dipping to like the $4 range. Then I could really get excited about Joby. Again, this is all pre-revenue. Yes, they have good manufacturing, between them and Archer, like Toyota and Stellantis helping them build these aircrafts and whatnot. They've got really big investments backing them, and it's all fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, it's still pre-revenue, guys. So it's very, 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 very early. My target for them to like really be something that I'm a lot more excited about is probably 2026, 2027. So again, I cannot stress that it is very, 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 very early. Anyway, appreciate the 506 people tuning in this morning, the 78 folks that are tuned in over here on YouTube. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. So let me see if I can catch up here. What's going on? First time here. Try to get Robinhood Legend. It will change your options selling live. You know, I've actually already started messing around with Robinhood Legend. I'm 49 years old, guys. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's like it's too intimidating for me right now. I like simplicity. The user interface experience that I have right now with Robinhood is everything that I need because I'm not trying to overcomplicate the game. It's just I don't need it. I think it's great for a lot of nerdier people. For me, it's kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Where else are we at? I think I already did these right here. Let me keep going. We just need you to be online more often. You know, the thing is, guys, they make like $5 to $7 per live stream. So it's just there's not enough money for me to want to do this. I love helping you guys out and stuff, but the thing is I'm just not to be a dick or anything, but I'm in a situation where I'm able to live my best life. And if I was doing these in person, that is my best life. But doing it here on a freaking seat, that's like pretty comfortable, but not really. No, that's just not what I want to do with my life. But I'm going to do it as often as the wife allows me, because it also is beneficial for me because I do get a lot of valuable information from the chat and stuff, and I have like some relationships that I'm fostering and cultivating because of YouTube. So I definitely want to keep doing it. I'm not going to be a myth, guys. I'm not going to dedicate 6 to 8 hours of my life to do this shit because I could just make a lot more money selling puts and calls and learning how to golf. I golf Torrey Pines recently, and it turns out that I really, really suck at golf, and I want to get better at it because there's a lot of beautiful golf courses out there that I'm able to go tee off on, and I just want to have a better experience, and it would help me to be a better golfer. So we live on the golf course here, and I want to, get out there a lot more frequently as well. What's going on, Cruz? What's going on, Alex? What's going on, Jason? Are you making any moves to avoid volatility? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. What's going on? Hey, baby. The camera's over here, baby. Can't see it. My wife walks in here like this, looking like y'all. He thinks y'all can see her. Is the funniest shit. You know those people that show up late to church and they're like doing this when they walk in. They're like this. That's what my wife reminds me. Anyway, how much longer, baby? Because I'm gonna do the outline for the Wheelers, and then I'll be good. 30 minutes. Okay, cool. Got 30 minutes, guys. Maybe more like 20. Theo, I have a question. How do I request to talk? The only folks that I talk with, guys, on FaceTime are the members. So $10 a month, that's one time per quarter. 25 a month, it's one time a month. $100 a month, it's one time a week. And those are FaceTimes, 15 to 30 minutes. What's going on, Angel? Mind potential. If I depend on my trading portfolio, what strategy should I use to draw my monthly expenses out of the trading portfolio? So I have this 1% rule. If you're selling options, you should be generating about 2.5% per month via premiums, captured premiums. So you'll collect more like 3 to 4%. You'll keep 2.5, and you should be able to draw 1% on your portfolio per month and probably be okay. Or the other easy rule is if you collect $10,000 in premiums, you could probably pay yourself $4,000 to $5,000 and you'd be okay. So if you pay yourself half of the premiums that you collected, because you're going to end up keeping about 60 to 70% of those premiums, then your portfolio is still growing and you're able to pay yourself. So that's kind of another rule of thumb. It's just 50% of the premiums coming through the door, they can go in your pocket. Appreciate you guys. If I depend on my parent employment expenses or suggestions structuring broad guilds, that's more of a Wheelers thing. We'll talk about that. There's not that kind of party here today because I don't want to get lost in the sauce. I got to go through the outline with you guys. Appreciate you, Dylan, Alan, Destination. Hey, TJ, how do you prepare for next year's taxes when your portfolio grows so much in a year? You just got to fucking pay and it sucks. luckily I have another source of income with the hedge fund that really helps offset that as well. Appreciate you guys. Come hit the like. Appreciate you guys. You seem to use either buy leaps or sell leap puts. How do you decide that? Depends on the volatility. Depends on the volatility. We'll talk about that here in a second on the outline. It's one of the bullet points already. Curious about some of the cannabis stocks that have been running 5% a day this last week, and the election coming up. Also, space we're legalizing. I thought that in 2020. I thought that in 2020, I was real heavy on the cannabis stocks whenever the Democrats won, and that trade did not work out for me. Maybe this cycle it works out. So I'm not bullish on cannabis stocks from that aspect, because I was like, well, the Democrats already had 4 years to pass all the shit they wanted to pass, because I thought all Democrats were potheads. Like, this was just my mentality in 2020, and I don't know. I guess that shit didn't end up being true. I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with the space. I like to be on Amazon with the election. These are the videos that I know if I keep watching 6 months from now, it will make even more sense. Appreciate you. Do you watch IB percentage? Yes. Low is good when you're buying. High IB is good when you're selling options. Tesla is it raising or falling from here? I think Tesla is probably going to go to 300. It just passed some very critical levels on the charts. Would you buy stocks at these levels without selling options? No, absolutely not. Hey, what's going on, Bill? Hope everything's going well. Where do you see importance of valuation metrics in, for example, CrowdStrike? I don't know enough about the space. That's the thing, man. Like, if you're going to really value a company, you got to learn the sector. It's like, to me, it's like studying real estate. You need to get familiar with the neighborhoods. You got to get familiar with the schools, etc. What are the houses going for? What's the finish out? What's the price per square footage? That's the easiest metric, right, in real estate, price per square footage. But it's not the same. It's not really that accurate, because why? A lot of houses here, they don't got the finish out that we do. So we command more per square foot. We got half an acre. We got the pond in the back. There's like a lot of different metrics that you look at in real estate to determine, why is this 3,300 square foot house in this area worth $500,000, where the one next door is like 500 square feet more, but they got less for their house because of the freaking finish out, the layout of the land, etc. There's a lot of things that came into play. We're single story. They're not. Single story, dude, that's just going to command a lot more, because older people don't want to fuck with stairs. That's the reality, right? So these are all things that I've learned throughout the years of my life in real estate. Well, you know what, guys? Stocks is very similar. Some sectors command higher multiples. Some sectors don't, like, that's why SoFi is kind of stuck in this quandary between a bank and fintech, and whether they're going to get this hybrid multiple, but yet all they're showing is a bunch of banking metrics. So it's real tough. It's real tough. So hopefully that helps you out. You got to learn the space. You got to learn the sector. How are all the other companies trading? Why are some companies commanding higher multiples than others? And then figure out where your company fits in and why it fits in there. And then you have to decide the hardest thing. What am I willing to pay for this stock? It's tough, man. What's going on? Bulls and the Bears. Matt, appreciate you, my man. How far are you doing Archer? So I already talked about that one. What are your thoughts on Enphase and the value of its current levels? I like Enphase in the $80 range, man. The earnings were not that exciting, but it was also, I liked that there was a lot of truth telling. There wasn't a lot of smoke being blown up people's asses or anything like that. It's like, hey, this is where we're at. Things, probably thought they were going to be better by now, but it looks like there's still another quarter of this shit. And then they'll be on the other side of this thing. So if you are building a position in Enphase right now, in this $80 range, I think your future self is going to love you. If I was still holding the shares in like 130 something, like I had before I turned those into leaps, probably be hating life. That would be a big drag in the portfolio. So I'm glad that I turned those into 50 leaps. I've sold 3 successful cover call campaigns against those leaps that cost $221 grand. I brought in like $70,000 for the door already. And I'm in another cover call campaign at $90 for like 1122. And I'm hoping those get under pressure, and I'll increase those to like 100. And then, kind of go from there. So I'm running the PMCC campaign on Enphase. I like it. Good morning, CJ. I would like to make a Bitcoin play, probably via a backstop trade. What would you right now? Any good plays to wait, better opportunity? So I recently sold 500 more yesterday. I sold 500 more cash secured puts on CleanSpark at 750 for January. So not really a backstop trade because it doesn't have as much time on the clock, but it's like it pays more than Riot at $7. That's the bottom line, and it's very similar to Riot at like $8 or $9. So I was just like, I like CleanSpark for right now, January of 2025, 750, no brainer shit. Appreciation or premium or depends on market conditions. What is your opinion on Square Block? I don't really have a huge opinion on it. I'm sure it's going to do well. I mean, my bet was PayPal. Why did I like PayPal over Square at the time? Because PayPal was profitable. Square wasn't. I don't know if they're profitable now. They might be. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking my question. You're welcome. Good morning, TJ and the crew. Yo, hi. Where can I see your strategy on buying leaps? I essentially just buy them when they're depressed, right? So I bought SoFi back in the day, when SoFi was trading in the $6 and $7 range. I was like, I'm gonna buy these lottery leaps at 10. And you got to be willing to place bets when other people aren't willing to place bets. That's whenever you're going to get the good deals, right? If you just think the stock's going up, you do it after a binary event. There's IB crush, all that stuff. You're not paying as much for these options, and then you want the option to ride up a little bit before you start selling covered calls against those options. And that's the last thing that I want to talk about in the portfolio with SoFi is I'm going to be looking to start selling options again. I got to bring premium, throw the door, and I'm hoping that I get caught with my hand in the cookie jar in a really big way. And I want all of these shares for sale at $25 January 2026, and I don't have to mess with SoFi for 2025. That's kind of the idea. I don't want to do monthlies on SoFi, weeklies. I don't want to do any of that shit because I want to do less work and I want to make more money. That's it. I'm just looking to figure out how to live our best life. We're looking at a piece of real estate in California, specifically Newport Beach. So like that's just going to be taking time. I'm going to be flying over there a few times trying to figure out what house we're going to take on as a second home and all this other stuff. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time out of our lives, but we want to spend 3 to 6 years or 3 to 6 months a year in California, maintain the residence here in Texas for tax purposes. And, kind of we're going to like turn ourselves into winter Texans, if you will. So anyway, that's what's going on, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Now I'm going to ask y'all for some help. So this here is an outline that I've been working on so far. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Here we go. So this is kind of an outline that I'm working on for the Wheelers segment. It's not necessarily in any particular order, but I'm hoping that you guys on the chat can help me add to the outline. That way when Alex comes over, so I'm going to do this the 42-minute mark. Let me go over here, 42-minute mark. And we'll just call it Wheeler's outline. Tell me if there's things that you guys want me to cover, because this seminar is for you. It's not for me. It's not to hear myself talk. It's so that you guys can learn how to do it. And I want to treat this seminar very seriously. I want to almost treat it like my swan song. I'm like, hey, I'm not ever going to be able to go on YouTube again. You guys are never going to be able to access my brain and how I look at options. And I want to be able to give it all to you, so that you have a reference point. So it's going to be 2 to 3 hours of my time that is highly concentrated and dedicated to showing you guys how to sell options from my perspective at a pretty high level, because I feel like I do it at a pretty high level. And you don't have access to me, right? Not everybody's paying me $25 a month to have a relationship with me via FaceTime, or $100 a month to have a relationship with me, once a week on the FaceTimes. Because not a lot of people can afford to do that and can justify that. I fully understand that. So I want to create something that could become like the Bible of wheeling, if you will. So I want to make sure that all the pertinent information is there. So this is what I have so far. This is why I was 4 minutes late to the stream. It's because I was writing this out real quickly. So the Wheeler seminar outline, again, these are just bullet points. Just like whenever you're writing a paper, you just start jotting shit down, and then hopefully it starts making sense as you go. So what I have so far is a Wheeler Seminar outline, intro, like a little bit about my background and what can you expect to learn during this live stream. And this is going to be live and in color for you guys. The very first thing I really want to talk about after that is wheeling as a business and what are the key components that you need to be able to treat it like a business. And I'll go into these. Now, I'm not going to give y'all like all that stuff. It's all in my head. So I just need something that directs me and then I'll be able to spit it out. The other thing that I'm trying to accomplish is I want to be able to essentially use artificial intelligence to take this episode and help us write the book. So that is the other thing. Y'all are essentially going to participate in me writing this fucking book, because it turns out I don't want to write the book. I don't even like the idea of writing the book, but I can talk the book. And if the computer can somehow help me out with that, then boom, we're at the finish line. So there's that. And I never want to commit to doing any of this shit again. Because my goodness, if there was ever a time that I feel like I put my foot in my damn mouth, this is it. Never wish I would even brought up the idea of a freaking book. So there's that. Turns out TJ does not want to be an author. Wheeling as a business, key components, key terms that you're going to need to know for all of this to make dollars and cents. So this is the hard part of the seminar. It's like, you got to give them the boring shit first, but it's because everybody wants to go out there and write beautiful sentences as a kid, but you got to learn your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s. So there's key terms that you're going to need to know for all of this to make dollars and cents, because these terms are going to show up over and over and over again. And then we're going to start getting into the meat and potatoes. How do you land on a stock you want to own for at least 3 to 5 years? Because that's a real big component to the strategy. Then we're going to get into it, all things cash secured puts, everything from picking a strike price to expiration dates and examples on how to execute a trade. When to take assignment versus when to roll versus when to close out for a profit or a loss, etc. We're going to get into the weeds on cash secured puts, and then we're going to do the same thing with covered calls, same format as cash secured puts, and then all things rolling option and why it's the silver bullet for the strategy. And then we're going to get into like key technical indicators that you must become familiar with, like the 200-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, the RSI, and the MACD as examples. The Greek basics to tie it all together, the delta, the gamma, the theta, the IV are the most critical. When IV is higher, it's ideal to sell options. When IV is lower, it's ideal to buy options. And that is as far as I got because I ran out of time. But there's a lot more stuff that I want to talk about. So please tell me, you got on the live chat, if there's anything specifically that you guys would like me to cover during this seminar, because I'm going to rattle off another 3 or 4 things, and then it'll be coherent. We'll make it coherent. Again, this is just whenever you're writing a paper, you just start putting shit out, and then you start piecing together and what paragraph does it go, etc., and it starts making sense, right? So we're just brainstorming an idea right now, if you will. So other things that I'm going to cover is my rule of 500. Other things that I'm going to cover is my 25, 25, 50 strategy. So my rule of 500 is real simple. If you cannot afford 500 shares of that stock, it is my belief that you should not be wheeling that stock. Why? Because you are putting yourself in a position where you have to be right now. You got 20,000 shares. You're like, I'm going to go wheel Amazon. Amazon tanks to 140. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to sell covered calls at 160? If you got a sign, what are you going to do? It's just you putting yourself in a real tough spot. Why? Because you're not adequately capitalized. The 25, 25, 50 strategy, it's just a bullet. It's position sizing. It's like when I first start a position like Archer, Joby, new stuff that you guys have seen, CrowdStrike, I'm like, okay, well, how much would I like to own of these shares if they were at better prices? So this is how you deal with an inflated market. That is what the 25, 25, 50 strategy is. So I'm like, I'm going to go in there with 25% of my bankroll that I have earmarked for this position. and I'm going to start selling puts and calls on this stock or buy right strategy, whatever it is, right? And we're going to talk about that over here. Like, how do you decide whether or not you want to enter a position via a cash secured put or a buy right strategy? So I can put that in over here. So over here, where is it? All things cash secured puts. So I'm thinking right here, what I could do is I could put how to decide between cash secured put versus buy right strategy. To enter a position. So that's something that we can talk about at length because that's the hardest thing for me. So I usually use a combination. I'm like, okay, well, let me buy some shares, let me sell some cash secured puts, let me sell some covered calls, and then immediately I want to enter into the coverage. That is my game, right? But a lot of people are not comfortable owning shares, or they're too enamored with this idea that they want to own shares at the bottom. So these are things that I want to cover, right? The rule of 500, the 25, 25, 50 strategy. And then I feel like I definitely have to talk about the backstop trades and how it helps to yield 25% annualized returns consistently. It's the cornerstone of the strategy, guys, is these backstop trades, is selling leap puts out in the distance, out of the money, oversized positions, and then taking all of those premiums and selling short dated cash secured puts. And when you get to that backstop, you do that successfully 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 times on the short dated puts, taking the premiums from the oversized backstop trade. You add it all up and you're like, holy shit, I was at 25, 30, 40% even on this portion of the portfolio. So there's that. So let's see if there's anything else that. Yeah, Jason can't pay me enough money to work at Riot, bro. Hell no. Hell no. You have to have the correct investment account set up. Some registered accounts won't let you sell cash secured puts. Yeah, a lot of that is like in Canada, I feel. PowerPoint slide rule of 500 versus fragmented shares. Good question. I TJ appreciate you guys. What would be your choice if you could just own 1 or 2 stocks? Depends on the bankroll. Good question. Depends on the bankroll. If it's a bankroll under 50,000, probably my son's portfolio. SoFi and Right. If it's a bankroll of 100,000, I'd probably pick something like Tesla, and then I would pick something that has legs, maybe like a Bitcoin miner. Again, depends what you're trying to accomplish, right? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? It's a loaded question, and it's not fair for me to just rattle off 2 stocks if I don't know the entire context. How to calculate the ROI, a cash secured put, covered call, percentage of goals, real good. So then we'll talk about how the math works. Good one. I like that. We'll put that in there somewhere here. That will be, that we'll cover that on cash secured puts while I'm giving the examples and stuff, see whether or not the math makes sense. I like that. Appreciate that bullet point. Maybe cover how dividend paying stocks affect options. I like that. Why I prefer selling puts and calls on non-dividend paying stocks. I like that. Because whenever you're approaching the next dividend date, that's where you can get covered. You're more likely to have covered calls called away from you early or assigned early on a dividend paying stock versus a non-dividend paying stock, because the dividend that they're receiving might potentially be a wash in comparison to the extrinsic value that they're foregoing. So that's where it gets a little bit trickier. So it's just something extra that you have to deal with that you otherwise wouldn't have to. That's why I prefer non-dividend paying stocks. Thoughts on selling covered calls on your shares and using the premiums to buy leaps? Yes, so that we can talk about portfolio allocation, portfolio. We'll talk about like maybe premium allocation. A lot of it would be just like on how to structure your portfolio. And a lot of this is going to have to do with your individual goals, right? Because I do a lot of FaceTimes and it's like, okay, cool. What's your goal? Where are you at? Where do you want to be? They got $1 million as an example. And guys, a lot of the people that I'm dealing with have $1 million in their portfolio. Like I'm not just throwing a number out there. There's a lot of money in the channel, like, following the channel. So I'm like, okay, cool. How much money are you trying to generate a month? Because the way that I look at a portfolio is like, it's my rule of 2.5%. So this is something else that I'll talk about. Rule of 2.5%. And this is, again, talking about the mindset. So this is going to go into the psychological components. I don't know if I'm spelling this right. Maybe I guess I did. Psychological components that help me make decisions. So I have this rule of 2.5%. So I'll put this in parentheses. Rule of 2.5%. So I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek on the Wheeler seminar because I'm practicing with you guys, right? So what is the rule of 2.5%? I pretend that the big Robinhood account is like a job, and I'm the hedge fund manager of that account. And essentially, for me to have a job, a six-figure job, right, $100,000 a year, because a lot of people would love to have a $100,000 a year job. And I've got, about $10 million to work with. And my job is to bring in 2.5% net premiums per month. That's my job. So on 10 million bucks, I got to keep $250,000 a month, $3 million at the end of the year. If not, I don't have a job. They don't need me, because if I'm just going to go match the market at 8, 9, 10%, 11%, they could just put all that money into the SPYs, the Qs, the VOOs. They don't need me. They don't need me. So in order for me to have this job, I need to be able to show a big return. So my goal is, if I can generate about 30% a year in premiums off of the entire portfolio, whatever the portfolio balance is on January. So let's just say it's $10 million in the big account, because I think that's where it's going to be, because there's some more deposits going through. And I think there's going to be some capital appreciation, Santa Claus rally, etc. So let's say we start the year at about a $10,000 balance. The goal is going to be, come hell or high water, I want to bring in and keep $2.5 million worth of premiums via cash secured puts and or covered calls. Not, I don't have a job, right? Like, that's the way that I look at it in my mind. Because if I could do that 3 years in a row, on the fourth year, I'm already doubling the portfolio just on premiums alone. And whatever shares I choose to own, if they just flatline, I'm still beating the market, because the rule of 72 says that I'm supposed to double my portfolio every 6 years, give or take. That's what the market's giving you for the last 100+ years. So I'm trying to create a system, and I have created a system that gives you that double. If you're willing to deal with some of the volatility and the high growth stocks that I deal with, that you can double your portfolio with premiums alone every 3 to 4 years if you're compounding. If you're having to live off your portfolio, it's going to be more like 4 to 5 years, right? So that is my mindset when I look at this thing. So when I look at your $1 million account, and I'm like, is that thing yielding $250,000 a year in premiums? If not, why? Why? Do you own too many stocks that you're not willing to sell covered calls on? Because I don't want my shares to get called away. Well, if you're getting $100,000 salary for managing that account, you wouldn't be thinking of any of that shit. So these are the psychological games that I play with myself to help me stay the course and sell puts and calls, collect premium roll when it makes dollars and cents. Anyway, you guys are going to get some good shit on this Wheelers episode, guys. This seminar is going to be, the best that I can give you, because I'm treating it like I'm never going to be able to talk to you guys again, if that makes sense. So let's keep it going. Appreciate you. AW becoming a member. What do you think about Ford and Rivian? They're looking cheap now. I don't really think about them. I think Tesla's already said that they're not going to save Rivian. I think that those businesses are all very difficult, man. It's like, I love NIO, but it's a very difficult business. It's a very, very difficult business. Tesla's really good at building shit. They're really, really good. Like, Tesla's moat is their manufacturing. And obviously now the data that they've collected with the millions and millions and millions or billions of miles that these cars have been driven, collecting a bunch of data. But their real moat is they know how to build stuff very efficiently and at scale very quickly. I mean, it didn't take the Cybertruck long to become a profitable SKU in their lineup. It's pretty damn impressive. Anyway, guys, I want to give a shout out to the 764 people that have seen the link on X, the 80 people that are rocking with me live on a Saturday on YouTube. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Matt behind holding leads versus shares. Really, really good question. Really, really good question. So I'm going to put here why I've determined that owning shares isn't very capital efficient. I guess I'm not learning how to spell here. Efficient if you're willing to actively manage your portfolio. These are conclusions that I've come with. So that's definitely something worth talking about. Appreciate that input. Guys. You can control 100 shares for about 30 to 40% of the capital required to own the 100 shares, yet the cover call premium is the exact same. So if it's a non-dividend paying stock, it doesn't really make a lot of sense when you're trying to build out a position to just use all your money to own the shares. I think you're better off controlling the shares, selling cover calls against those leads, running the poor man cover call campaign, and stacking your bread that way. The investment thesis plays out. Then you can go execute. You can go exercise your share ownership by, essentially exercising those leads, turning them into shares. The beautiful thing about shares is they don't expire. In some instances, the shares can go to zero. It's very rare, but it does happen. So that is definitely something that I have looked at. And that is why I've decided to go a lot heavier on leaps and only continue to buy shares of stocks like Amazon, where I'm like, okay, this is a no-brainer share for 3 to 5 to 10 years. So I'm not going to just mess with leaps over here. I'm just going to own the shares because I would like to own these shares, possibly until I die. I don't know. We'll see. We talked about that one. Besides IV, what do you look at Delta when you sell covered calls or cash secure puts? Yeah, we're going to talk about all that already. That's in there. Appreciate you. The strategy, poor man covered call. Okay, so we can definitely touch on that one again. PMCC as a capital efficient strategy for smaller accounts or even large accounts that want to maximize earning potential. Because it's a small account strategy per se, but it requires a big account mindset. It requires big knowledge mindset. You need to have big knowledge. You might not have big money, but you need to have big knowledge. So we'll talk about all of that stuff as well. Awesome. How to sell cover calls on leaps to bring extra cash flow. Like it. Okay, my wife's ready, guys. So I'm gonna have to rock and roll. Let me see if there's anything else here. What was your biggest mistake in your sell options history? Biggest loss? Definitely have talked about it before. It is Facebook, Meta. I let shares get called away. I could have continued to manage those. I'd probably still be in those right now. I'd probably have about a 350 handle on those shares. So I'd still be underwater, but I'd still be in the game. And now I'm not in the game. So yeah, we'll talk about that one. Uh, so I'll just call it the biggest learning lessons. So we'll talk about that one there. Appreciate y'all helping me fill out this timeline. Remember, poor man cover calls are deep and the money calls don't provide you marginability. You should keep your premiums for rolls. Closing Saturday masterclass. Dan, congrats on your huge increase. Appreciate you guys. Derek, what up? Have you ever tried to day trade for fun, like just slowly scale 1 million? No. Wheeling and dealing on Saturday. Hey, gang, what's going on? Just my 2 cents in IV when selling. That's the premiums for us. Absolutely. 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 Anyway, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'm working on this thing. I'm going to work on it with Alex whenever I do the portfolio update on Monday. I'll bring this up again. So if there's anything that you guys would like to add to it, let me know. And then I will show you guys what we come up so far. I'm looking at doing the Wheelers on the seminar on a Saturday. Why? Because when I take the show on the road and do these live, it's going to most likely be on a Saturday. So I might as well practice on the day. So I don't think that it'll be ready for this coming Saturday, the next Saturday, like a week from today. But I think that we can have it ready for the following Saturday. So I'm going to promote it on Twitter. You guys can all help me. I'll have Alex do an awesome thumbnail, all that stuff. And we want to promote it. I'd like to have 300-400 people on that stream if we can, because the more that you guys give to me in energy, the more that I'm going to be able to give to you guys. And after each critical section, which is all things cash secured puts, I'm going to do a live Q&A where I'm going to answer 3 or 4 questions. Maybe the way that I disseminated the information wasn't crystal clear, so I'll clear that up. So all things cash secured puts, live Q&A. All things covered calls, live Q&A. All things rolling options, live Q&A. All things poor man cover call, live Q&A. That kind of thing. All things 25-25-50 strategy, live Q&A. All things the rule of 500, live Q&A. That kind of thing. And so on and so forth. So I'll pick, and I'll have people picking me because I'll have. Or the other thing that I've looked to do is, since this is going to be like a Wheeler solo for the seminar, is for the live Q&A, maybe I'll put the StreamYard on there, and the Bill Whites of the world, can go in there and maybe give them the floor for like 5 minutes or whatever, and be like, what did I miss, or what would you add, etc. So you can get different points of view. So that might be how I end up conducting it. Is I'll have 3 or 4 of the fellow Wheelers, Dallas, Matthew, and whatnot, and Bill. Maybe invite Bulls and the Bears over, because he always has really good information as well. Even Amit, if he's able to participate. And I'll go through all things cash secured puts, and then we'll maybe let them chime in as well, and then do the live Q&A together with them. And then I'll move over to solo edition, and I'll do all things covered call. So I'm working on the plan, man. Working on the plan. This is a work in progress. That's why I don't think that I'll be ready by next Saturday, because again, I'm treating this thing like this is all that I'm ever going to be able to give you guys. So I want to be able to give it to you, kind of like if it's the book, right? Because once you write the book, you put it out, you can't go make changes to it unless you do another edition or whatever. So anyway, guys, I hope y'all got some value out of it. I got to get rocking and rolling. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Anyway, let's just leave y'all with this. It's election season, guys. There's a lot of people on the right that are really excited about their guy. There's a lot of people on the left that are really excited about their guy. Whoever wins, at the end of the day, we're all Americans, humans. At the end of the day, there's some people watching from different parts of the world. At the end of the day, we're all humans. So just make sure to be kind to one another, because at the end of the day, that's the easiest thing that you can do. That's the easiest thing that you can control. So don't be giving people a hard time if they want to vote for Kamala. Don't be giving people a hard time if they want to vote for Trump. It's their right to do whatever the hell they want to do, and we could just respect those rights. Those are the rights that we have in this country that makes this country so damn beautiful. So instead of like criticizing people and stuff, just exercise your right to vote. That way you can score a point for your team, hopefully, if it works that way, because this is the only game we play where there's no scoreboard, right? It's kind of weird. It's like we're all going to watch the Super Bowl, but the lights are going to be off, and at the very end, they're going to tell us who won. It's kind of crazy, right? Nobody watched the Super Bowl, but that's how we do politics in this country. Why? I don't know. I have my ideas of why that is. So anyway, just no matter what, let's just be kind to each other. At the end of the day, we're all going to wake up after the election. I'm still going to be TJ the Wheel Deal. You still guys are going to be you. And we're all going to love and respect each other at the end of the day. TJ the Wheel Deal signing off. As always, may your sky stay blue, stock spring. Peace out. God bless you guys.